Joel Corry. Not a lightweight.
No.
I would hope not. We had him on the show.
Yeah.
Show of Wales.
That's right. He wrote an article about the 10 quarterbacks entering pivotal seasons facing the crossroads. A lot is riding for each this season. And, he's got Russell Wilson on there. Okay? Russell Wilson, of course, coming off a bad year. Sean Payton ain't going to mess around.
Yeah, Russell Wilson could be a backup. This year could decide that he's a future number 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's Mr. Unlimited.
Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron's older. If he has a bad year, he may just call it quits.
Yeah, but he's going to be the starter next year if he wants to be. So what's on the line for him? Like maybe a little legacy talk. But Aaron Rodgers ain't losing his spot if he doesn't want to. It doesn't matter how bad he is this year.
Agree.
Which he won't be bad. Babby.
That's right.
Even though I didn't have the balls to take him last night over Kirk Cousins.
Tua is on the list. And then it says ability isn't the issue. It's availability is
Agreed.
the issue.
Huge year for Tua.
Yep, absolutely.
And I have a little ability question still left as well.
Yeah, and it basically says a concussion-free season could be the difference between getting $50 million a year and them not picking up the option.
Yes.
For his 5th year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's huge. Justin Fields, totally agree. Another big year. Another a big year for him. Ryan Tannehill, I think we've seen he's definitely on the way out.
Yeah.
Garoppolo, yeah, it is. Although he just kind of signed a $70 million deal.
Can he prove he's in the top 32? That's the question.
There you go. Baker Mayfield, no doubt, but I think he's a placeholder right now.
Will he fall below Jimmy Garoppolo?
Mac Jones, yes. Jordan Love, yes. Dak Prescott is on this list.
I am going to lessen my interception numbers.
What's the title of the article?
It is Agents Take Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott among 10 quarterbacks entering pivotal season facing a crossroads.
Facing a crossroads. All right, I'm interested to hear what the crossroads is here.
All right, so here's the explanation written up. Last season was a down year for his standards. Uncharacteristic high interception rate. He is in the 3rd year of a 4-year, $160 million deal. $126 million in guarantees signed in March 21. The $95 million in guaranteed at signing and $66 million signing bonus were the most ever in an NFL contract at the time. His situation should come to a head next offseason. He has the second largest 2024 cap number at $59.455 million, which is they can't do that. Thanks to them restructuring his contract for cap purposes on 3 different occasions since he signed. 3 different times?
Yep.
Jeez. He also has a clause for prohibiting them from franchise or transition tagging him in 2025. Jerry introduced a new variable to the equation by getting Trey Lance for a 4th-round pick without informing Dak or Mike McCarthy before making the deal. Acquiring Lance could become significant if Dak regresses badly. Now, the Cowboys would be contending with a $62 million hit of dead money by releasing him after this year.
Yeah.
All right?
Joe Corry has been reduced to minnow. No more whale.
It would be the same amount with a trade, which would require him to waive his no trade. A bounce-back year is where he returns to form in 2021, which was arguably his best season. It would give him leverage under the circumstances, become the highest-paid player in the league. Last year...
Look, I'll save you the rest of the time. There is no crossroads. Dak Prescott is not going anywhere. And it's part of what I said the other day when I annihilated Bobby in our Expressway argument. Dak Prescott has the leverage of quarterback purgatory. And unless they are going to gamble on finding Patrick Mahomes with their next draft pick and move on from Alex Smith, he's not going anywhere, and Trey Lance is not that leverage. It's laughable. If you actually think that, then you haven't been watching football for the past 3 years. So Dak Prescott, he's not going anywhere. He's getting the new contract unless he, knock on wood, suffers some type of catastrophic injury. Corrian, knock on Corrian. There's no crossroads. There's no threat. There's no worry of him being unemployed here. Period.
I agree. And the main reason, I think we all agree, is there's no way they can go into next year with a cap hit
The cap ramifications, yes.
of not signing him to an extension.
Yeah, I mean, they can't have that figure on
Even
their
if they
books.
didn't like him, they couldn't do that.
Right.
Exactly.
So there is no crossroads.
That's why Jerry is even admitted to people. He's got us. I mean, he's got us by the stones.
Yeah. Now, listen, could somebody make the argument? I don't believe this statement, but are they not already in quarterback purgatory if they don't have a tier 1 quarterback?
No. They're not. Because you've said tier 1 is just Mahomes, so you're saying 31 other franchises forever are in quarterback purgatory for the next 12 years. That's silly.
The Cowboys have a chance to win the
they do.
Super Bowl.
They're not officially on the Mark Cuban hamster wheel.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not on
They're
that.
running faster than that.
They're running faster than that.
They're running faster. It's
They can see the wheel.
They can see the wheel. So they're not in quarterback purgatory. I understand what you're saying, but there's no make or break crossroads for him.
Yeah, when you're addressing the idea of purgatory, because Chop, you've said this before. You said this yesterday. You think Dak can win a Super Bowl. You don't think Dak's the type of quarterback that can win multiple Super Bowls, but you think he can win a Super Bowl. With this roster, this is a Super Bowl contending roster. We would all agree, right?
Yes.
It's not necessarily a favorite or anything else.
Right.
How many quarterbacks that exist in the league right now do you think have the capability to win the Super Bowl with this particular roster? Like, if it's not going to be 20. It's not like, well, there's 20 quarterbacks who could probably win the Super Bowl with this team. And so if that's the case, if it's not just an abundance of them, you're not in purgatory. Purgatory is what you were for 7 years between Aikman and Romo.
Yes.
That's purgatory. That's
Agreed.
3 starting quarterbacks a year. Purgatory is what Tampa looks like they're entering. That's purgatory.
Because someone is then also like trying to compare him to Russell Wilson's situation.
Well, yeah, that's Dan Graziano. Now, Dan Graziano was on with ESPN, obviously. That's where he works. And they were talking about, like, you know, where Dak goes with the Trey Lance thing. And he likened it to comparing him to where Russell Wilson was with Seattle. And that didn't make sense to me.
How so? What was he saying? What was the explanation?
Well, because, like, they're basically saying, like, you know, at the end of Russ's tenure with Seattle, he had fallen off. Well, Dak hasn't fallen off.
Right. Dak Prescott next year for another team is not. I didn't see Russ coming. I admit it. I missed on the Broncos big time. Dak Prescott is not going to be as horrific next year as Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
So Seattle felt and saw the drop and the decline. No one's saying that Dak would drop off like that. So I disagree with that one too.
Yeah, here's the full explanation.
In terms of Dak Prescott, right, like they believe that he's the answer long term, but they understand that plans can change. It's pretty much that simple. You're just guarding against worst case scenarios here, and you don't even know if Trey Lance is going to be that guard. Look, the example's Russell Wilson. 3 years ago, if I had told you Seattle will not be extending Russell Wilson when his contract is up, you would have said I was nuts.
Right.
And they didn't. They traded him to the Denver Broncos because they got to the point where, like, he's going to want $50+ million a year. We don't think he's that player anymore. That could happen with the Cowboys and Dak. I don't think it will, but it could.
Okay, I don't think it. I mean, I don't think it would. I don't even think it can, because we haven't seen the drop off from Dak that we saw from Russ.
Jerry Jones is not going to
reset the. He's not going to
take
reset
a Geno Smith type gamble, and Trey Lance is a much bigger gamble than even Geno Smith. So Graziano's wrong too.
Yeah, now
everybody
listen,
0 for
if
0 for life, 0 for segment.
If the Cowboys made a trade and somehow found their way into trading
for Matt Stafford?
No.
Yeah.
no. They traded they trade CeeDee Lamb for a first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that first round pick, because of injuries, becomes the number 2 pick in the draft.
Right.
And they have a chance to get Drake May. Okay, I could see them saying, you know what, let's start. I could see it. They wouldn't do it.
Right.
But they're not going to get the first pick in the draft.
Right.
They're not going to get a top 10 pick in the draft. Dak's too good. And even if he gets hurt, this team showed they won with games with Cooper Rush.
Now, what you've been arguing is, and Broadus has asked, when are we going to stop being handcuffed to quarterbacks in this range? I thought Minnesota was about to do it. They may be about to do it. Like Kirk Cousins on that level, we're moving off of this. We're done with this. Kansas City is kind of like the only one, right? They didn't have as much success, though, I don't believe, than the Cowboys have had with Dak when they had Alex Smith. But That was a hell of a gamble. And they obviously struck gold. But when will we ever make that turn in the National Football League where, like, the Ravens had to do it with Flacco? Won the Super Bowl.
They signed him.
They had to sign him afterwards. But Joe Flacco ended up, not being very good. When will we ever leave that point in the NFL?
We saw it one time. We've seen it once. And the one time it happened, everybody went, well, look, see, that's why you don't do it. And it scared people. And it's Washington didn't have a firm plan in place when they were like, do we want to pay Kirk? Go ahead and leave Kirk. And they became an even bigger mess. When you walk away from quarterbacks, here's what teams are afraid of. Even if Kirk Cousins is not who you think he is, and this is why people pay the premium on it no matter what, is because the quarterback market always goes up, so it eventually settles down. It looks like a bargain. There's always going to be the inflation. That's part of it. But the other issue is when you trade Kirk Cousins, or when you let Kirk Cousins walk, you end up trading for Alex Smith and paying him an extra $30 million. You end up trading up into the first round and trying to go after Dwayne Haskins and then having that not work out. And you go through all these different points where you make these quarterback moves that fall apart. This is why teams are terrified of getting to a point where they've just got to lean on it. They walked away from Alex Smith in Kansas City, but it was after a year of seeing Patrick Mahomes in practice, and they knew, okay, this guy's special. We can walk away. It's different than what Washington did, where they said, we'll walk away and we'll just, let the chips fall where they may a little bit in terms of quarterback play. And figure out, we'll take a quarterback in the first round without really seeing him in our building. This is what every team's afraid of.
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, I mean, well, in that instance, Haskins or whoever else, but this is what teams are terrified of bringing on themselves, because once you get on that hamster wheel, it's impossible.